Okay, welcome back to week 2 of DBT YouTube videos. Fun stuff right here. So this week we're going to be talking about the tip skill, and the handout should be right below the video in the description, and there's some other links that I will talk about shortly. So TIP is yet another acronym because Marcia. It's not like the stop skill where you have to go in order this time. So tip is one that you can kind of pick and choose based on yourself and based on the situation that you're in. Ready to start? There's no response, so I don't know why I asked that question. Okay, so T is for temperature. I'm gonna tip the temperature of our bodies. Fun fact, humans have what's called a dive reflex or a dive response. Basically, when our bodies are submerged in cold water, they start to physiologically calm themselves down. So I'm guessing that our ancestors probably fell in a lot of frozen lakes and our bodies had to find a way to survive until somebody could come fish us out. My theory, what happens is when we're in cold water, our heart rate drops, our muscles start to relax, our breathing slows down, basically to preserve us. We can actually use that to our advantage when we're in a crisis situation. So we know that that happens if there's cold water. Our bodies are going to do that automatically. Great stuff. Also good if you do happen to fall in a frozen lake. But the good news is you do not have to fall in a frozen lake for this technique to work. Instead, the way that you do it, the proper way to do it, is to get a bowl of cold water, not frozen water, just cold water. Hold your breath and place your face into the bowl of cold water. Yeah, I know what it looks like, I know. But when you do this, hold your breath and wait about like 20-30 seconds, depending on how long you can hold your breath. Obviously, if you're having trouble breathing, take your face out of the cold water. Yeah. So when you do this, you should experience a little bit calmer feeling overall because your heart rate will be slowing down a little bit, muscles be relaxing, breathing a little bit slower, all good things. If you don't have a bowl of cold water or don't want to use a bowl of cold water or your family is starting to get concerned, you can also do this somewhat with like an ice pack or just a really cold washcloth. Just put it somewhere on your face. Your face is really what triggers the dive reflex. So that'll work in a pinch if you don't have cold water for you to submerge your face in. So if you do have a bowl of cold water, you can just do it that way and then tell your family that you're regulating your emotions, and nobody says that. Okay. But you can tell them that. So if you don't, ice pack, cold washcloth somewhere on your face. Hold it for 30 seconds. Do not hold it for a very long time or to the point where it's starting to get painful. We are not self-harming with ice. We are using this technique to help us calm down. So that's temperature. If you do have a heart condition, they advise you to ask your doctor before you try this because it does lower your heart rate. So if there's a concern about that, either skip this letter or ask your doctor first. So there's that. I think that's probably all I have to say about temperature. So I shall drink some water, cold water, but not submerge my face in it at the moment. So T. Next letter is I. I is for intense exercise. I'm sure some of you, maybe all of you, because we're all humans, are familiar with the feeling of so much pent up emotion that you just have to move around. You've got to get it out. If you don't move around, you're going to explode. Good time to use intense exercise. I know for me, especially with anxiety, and I'm getting just a ball of anxiety and I've got to get it out somehow, intense exercise works. Intense exercise can be running in place, doing jumping jacks, anything that's going to get your heart rate elevated for a little bit. It doesn't have to be going to the gym and lifting weights. In fact, you can't go to the gym right now and lift weights. Do not go to the gym right now. Intense exercise at home. So, anything that's just going to get you moving and get some of that feeling out. A lot of people are like, oh, I don't have space to do intense exercise, or there's too much crap on my floor, or I have boxes. If you have enough space to stand up in your house, you have enough space to do some intense exercise. Again, running in place. You don't need much space for that. So that is one of the skills that helps with some like pent up anxiety or anger or whatever emotion just gets you really moving. So, temperature, intense exercise. On to the next two letters. Yes, I know the acronym only has one P, but there are actually two P's because Marcia, two P's. They are intended to be used together, so that's probably why she combined them into one P, but they are two separate things, so is what it is. Marcia, do what Marcia please. So, the first P is for paced breathing. Yes, breathing comes back. If you remember your breathing bunny handouts, which I don't have with me, but you all do somewhere in your folders. Breathing bunny, remember, breathe deeply, breathe from your belly, not from up here. If you are trying to do the paced breathing and you're breathing from up here, it's not going to be a fun time. And it's not really going to help you feel less anxious or angry or anything. So breathe from your belly. Breathe out, not up. Okay. Have I repeated it enough now? Maybe. I don't know. Paced breathing is a specific technique. Normally I would demonstrate this, but I feel kind of weird doing that on video, and it's also kind of hard to see my full body, so you can't really see how I'm breathing. But good news is that there are a ton of videos on YouTube, and there's actually apps that you can download on your phone. If you type in breath pacer or paced breathing, you will find it. One of my favorite ones is the one with the shapes, and if I were a fancy YouTuber, I could just pull it up on screen, but I am a 90-year-old woman in disguise, so instead I'm gonna show you on my phone, because I don't know. I'll put a link to it down there, but for some of you, this will be a very familiar, if if I can figure out how to use my phone, familiar image going on right here. It's been making its way around Facebook, which is a wonderful thing. So, see this shape? See the glare of my phone? Yes, so that is one type of a breath pacer. What you would be doing is following the shapes. So breathing in as the shapes expand, breathing out as the shapes collapse. Could also adjust the speed, fun fact, there's a YouTube function for that. So if that's too fast for you or too slow for you, you can speed it up. There are plenty of different types of paced breathing. So what I have to say about that is like, okay, there's a lot of choices. One's telling me to hold my breath for this amount of time. One's telling me to breathe out for this amount of time. Here's the thing. all of those techniques are going to be better than hyperventilating during a panic attack. So whichever one you choose, it's not going to hurt you to try a breathing technique. So if you find a different one that you like, or your Fitbit does some kind of breathing thing and you like that one, do that thing. Try out some different ones. I'm going to put a link in there to one that I really like. It's apparently Pesky Gnats, which is a channel for children because children love gnats, I guess. But it does have a really helpful breath pacer, and it does have multiple options for how long the breath is. So if you find one that's too long, you can just find the video that's the shorter version. It also has a visual with it. So again, you're breathing with the video. What the point of the breath pacer is learning how to pace yourself, learning how to slow down your breathing, and being able to do that when you really need it. So practice, 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 practice every day, practice multiple times a day, not bray. It is what it is. Practice multiple times a day. I probably practiced this 30 times in the last few hours here because breathing is good for you. Breathing is great for you. There's a lot of research. I'm not going to throw it at you because I don't have it with me, but a lot of research that learning how to pace yourself actually works for calming ourselves down. So Breath Pacer, you have a link there that you can try, or you can also search for yourself. Whatever you do, it's probably a good decision if it's breath pacing, so can't really go wrong. That's one P. The other P is for paired muscle relaxation. It's basically progressive muscle relaxation, if any of you have ever done that before or tried that before. It's a technique that teaches you how to notice when you're getting tense and then be able to untense your muscles. Water. Refreshing. So, a lot of us, when we get stressed or when we get nervous or angry even, actually a lot of emotions cause us to tense our muscles. I notice in myself that I am a really big shoulder tensor. I'm also a really big jaw clencher. And you will probably notice that when I get anxious, my shoulders start to go up and my shoulders start to go in, and I'm holding all the tension like this. And at the end of the day, a lot of people are like, why does my back hurt? Why does my jaw hurt? My face hurts. Why am I so tired? Well, maybe you've been tensing some muscles all day long and it's starting to wear on you. By using this technique, you can recognize when you're starting to do it. I know it almost immediately now. I was not always like this. It used to be super confusing, but then I tried this technique and now I understand, like, okay, shoulders are starting to get tensed. I can actually calm that down before it starts to get worse, before I get a backache, versus waiting until the end of the day and then being confused why my back hurts. So another one, I would in person do a nice demonstration, but you can't see my whole body and there's not really a lot of space for me to show you a very nice demonstration. But don't worry, others on YouTube have provided that for you. So it's not a very long technique. I think the video is still less than 10 minutes. What you are going to do is start muscle by muscle and tense it fully and then release it fully. Video will show you how and what that looks like so that you can do it yourself. But definitely try it. A lot of people use this one right before bed because all the stress and anxiety from the day kind of just piles on, and that's why a lot of people have trouble sleeping too. So doing this technique before you go to bed at night has worked wonders for me and wonders for a lot of people in your group that you know have told me that this actually works, and they've found that they are tensing up muscles that they didn't even notice they were doing. So there is a link to that. And again, ideally what you're going to do is pair these two P's together. So you're going to be taking really deep breaths in between tensing each muscle group. That's probably why it's combined into one P, but I don't know because I'm not Marsha. Marsha is a unique unicorn all to herself. Okay, so that's the tip skill. Again, you can pick and choose. So if one of these works really well for when you're angry, but not so well for when you're sad, okay, do it that way. It's not one that you have to use in order. You can move around a little bit, but do give it a try. Homework is obviously to use these things. Homework is also to watch the videos of the breath pacer and the progressive muscle relaxation. I think the other thing I'm going to put in the description below is a progressive muscle relaxation for kids. Not only because some of you have kids and this would be very helpful, but also because for us big kids, it's a more simple and visual way to do the exercise. So it gives analogies like become a turtle, and it's fun. So I'm going to put a link to it anyway because I like it and it's helpful and it's a nice visual. So you get what you get. So yeah, tip skill. Go forth and practice it. And that's all. Okay, I'm gonna stop the video now.